wristwatches and the Vietnam War. Really quick video just about this. Soldiers in Vietnam, they all wore watches. It was a real big deal. You could buy them everywhere, and they were issued as well. Most people, when they think about Vietnam War and watches, they think about the 6105, 8110, or 8119. It's the same thing. It's just 8110 is world, 8119 is North America. The so-called Willard. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful watch. One of a kind. There's no other watch in the world that's one of these. Nothing else in the world looks like this. Not even Seiko's recreations. But one of the other really big watches, which people think about for very good reason. Let's see if I can remember this. The Mill W3818B. These were the issue service watches. They had lower versions of these that were disposable. There was a metal version, one down, that was considered more or less disposable. And then below that, there were ones that were cased all plastic. That were literally throwaways. This is an original. It's from March of 1965. Look at that 5-digit serial. I bought this 15, 16 years ago as a wreck in Texas. Got it in a watch lot. The crystal had been smashed. The hands were all skeletal and lume was gone, and they had been like smashed and flattened down onto the dial. I had to flatten the hands. It was the first relume I ever did. I went and I was able to find online at that time the original government specifications for this model, the requisition specifications. And I did that specifically to confirm the lume pattern. I'd never reloomed a watch before. I've been building models my whole life, so working with paints wasn't a big deal. And once I had the schematics of the original and how it was supposed to look, I matched it. So I didn't try to make it look old or aged or anything. So white. The top of the sweep seconds hand is lume, that's in white. The tip of that sweep seconds hand and the Market 12 is supposed to be orange. I went like a little faded orange. Remember, this is like 15 years ago, and I'm trying to remember. I see my hands are misaligned. I have to service this. It's a good, strong, utilitarian design, instantly legible, despite the fact of its relatively small size, 34.5 millimeters. It's a fantastic design. This original is monocoque. It's a single-piece case that the waterproof crystal snaps into. You remove the movement by pulling the crystal, and the crowns on these are a two-part. So they have a male and a female, so you have a book, and so you have the right tool, and you go punk, and this pops out. And inside we would find a Benrus 17 jewel, which is really a Bulova 17 jewel. One of America's greatest watch companies, now sadly zombified. These were the higher end ones. I've read that these were more for special forces, snipers, and stuff like that. I don't know if that's true. That's what I've read. So that was the first lume job I ever did. Pretty happy with it. So now I get to compare it side by side with the new Rdunae RA02. This is Rdunae, which is, WR watches. They, are justifiably well known for their 6105 homage, plus the other watches that they do. Their 6105 casework was just bananas. I'm still stunned by it. So this is their recreation. It doesn't have the mechanical movement of the original, but for the price point, $89, I think. $59. $59. That's every time I remember it's $59. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not being paid for this, by the way. This is my own thing. This is a review sample that they sent me, but they're not paying me anything. I've gone through and looked at the measurements, and they're extremely faithful to the original. dial printing is right on where it is. This dial printing is a little brighter and thicker and fatter, so it pops a little more. They went with the aged loom, sort of the tropical loom, rather than the white. And I understand why they did it. I was not willing to be creative when I did this. I wanted to take it back to spec, and that's what I did. So it's crazy. It's interesting. So like this case looks thinner and smaller, and the crystal looks bigger. And this case looks bigger, and the crystal looks smaller, but the proportions are almost exactly the same. Main difference is in the side pieces of the case. You can see that the side walls of the case are higher. And of course, this is a screw back. It's not a monocoque. So the case is a little heavier, but you'd only notice that looking at it from the side. From the top, the proportions are pretty much identical. I mean, they matched the lug height and width and everything else like that. Come on, where are you? Wake up. There we go. I need to come in. Yeah, 34.5 wide. Just 0.5 millimeter bigger than the Rolex 1500, which is a watch I wore with pride. I wish I had mine back. Just like I wish I had my Rdunae 6105 back that I sold. The one I did my review with, I wish I still had that watch. If you or somebody you know owns that particular Rdunae, please get in touch with me. Okay, 18. Let's do this. 18. Come on now. Really? What? That can't be right. I don't buy that for a second. That's not right. $17.75. Really? Why would they do that? Okay, $17.90. So they're both 18. This one's a little finer, a little closer in. That's kind of wacky. What do we got here? That's 10.5. The remake is 10.5. This one's 11.5. Now, that is because the crystal I have in here is a replacement. It's not the original government issued one, which I don't remember if it was lower. This is a dive-tight crystal from GS. It's a vintage crystal wedge. You use a cruncher to, a crystal press to compress it and pop it in place. I tell you, I'm impressed. Their casework for the 6105 that they did, the first 6105 8000 slim case, still blows me away. Whoever's doing their casework knows what they're doing. Their designers and their production and their QC, they know what they're doing. Yeah, it's got a nice tall hand stack like the original. They did a really good job. They were very faithful. Fonts are definitely different. You can see this one is a little like 7. The curve on the lower stroke of the 7, it's more curved here. The 4, sharper, fatter. 3 is a flat top. That's standard. The 2 looks about the same. 1 is a stroke, but you'll notice the one on the original has corners and this one is rounded. The 9. This is their font that they choose is actually more like a Rolex font. More Rolexy. I mean, that's what it looks to me. It's more like an Explorer tile, especially well, not the 3. The 6 and the 9, certainly. The Rolex didn't use a flat top 3 on that. 7 appears to be the biggest difference. The downstroke on the 2 of 12 and the 2 at 2 is straighter. It doesn't have that sort of drop-off curve. The 3 is closed up a little more. 4 is much more geometric. Yeah, they did a really good job. Look, they even got the cutout on the crown right. So, well, mostly. It's curved here. The original, it's flat. So the original, they just went, and they milled it like this. On this one, they drilled it, and then they did it out, rounded it out that way. Well, I tell you, I'm impressed. Tell you what, why don't I do a twofer, right? I'll set the time on this one, and I'll go double wristing. Nah, I don't want you to wear 2 watches right now. Let's put this one on. See what we see. It's amazing. It's so legible. A great design. It's a really manly design. I'm so glad the age of giant watches is over. Anyway, I have to say, for the price point, $59, I'm 100% down. I am going to research, though, finding a mechanical movement that'll drop in on this. See if I can do that. Turn this thing mechanical. Wouldn't that be fun, huh? Okay, cool. Thank you so very much on this section.